Hey guys, it's Tamara coming back at you with another video. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk today about pathological lying. And so this is going to be the first video to a series of videos on this topic. I've gotten a lot of emails lately, and I'm not sure if it's because of some of the things that has been happening internationally in terms of our terrible immigration laws, or if it's something else that's going on that I'm not aware of. But I've gotten a lot of emails from people who want to talk about personality disorders. Now, let me just throw out there that I'm no expert on personality disorders. That's just not my area of expertise. However, I have had a lot of experience in working with adults as well as juvenile delinquents who have personality traits. So we're going to talk about pathological lying. It's something that I've dealt with for years in a variety of clinical settings, and also with a variety of individuals and disorders as well. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right on in. The benefits, I should say, for you today in this video is that you're going to learn about pathological lying. You're going to know what it is, and I'm going to also give you some tips on how to get out of it. But that's not going to come until next week. In this video today, I'm going to give you some tips to help you identify a pathological liar. Now, I do want to mention this, that I wrote an article, and I'm going to put it in the description box below. So go ahead and scroll down, click on 6 subtle characteristics of a pathological liar. That article I wrote way back in 2013, I believe it was. It could have been 2012. And that article brought in a ton of views. It brought in close to 305 comments, but then over 10 million shares. It was amazing. I was so shocked to see that this article brought in so many people, and I'm still getting emails and shares and requests for information from that article. It is scary to kind of to process and conceptualize that, wow, a lot of people are dealing with pathological liars. Ouch. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. Let me just start by giving you a definition of what pathological lying is, okay? So I tend to define pathological lying as a long history of repeated and frequent lying for which there is no apparent cause, there's no apparent target, there's no apparent or external motivator. It's a behavior that really is reflexive and impulsive. Is it evil? Yes and no. Individuals who are pathological liars, they kind of have an interesting set of personality characteristics. Now, we all know that you could lie for a variety of reasons, right? We all tell, a variety of white lies just to kind of get out of things, or to restructure our day, or, to little kids tell white lies to get out of things, right? So that's kind of common. But when we're talking about pathological lying, we're talking about a person who lies just for the heck of it, and there's no identifiable reason why. That is so hard to wrap your mind around. Why lie if you know that the consequences may be worse than if you were to just tell the truth? And so that's when we have to start delving into 4 disorders of personality, okay? And I have them listed here, and I listed narcissism, histrionic personality, borderline personality, and sociopathy, which is also antisocial personality. So there's 4 disorders of personality that I want you to keep in mind as we walk through this video, and that's borderline personality disorder, narcissism, histrionic personality, and sociopaths, or antisocial personality. Now, when I'm talking about an individual who is narcissistic, I'm talking about someone who has a very hard time empathizing with other people and opening their heart and their mind to other people. There's no regard for their rights or their space. There's no regard for the way that they think and feel about things. It's all about that particular narcissist. If we want to go ahead and expand the definition of narcissism, this video would be about 3 hours long, because we would have to go through the covert narcissist, the overt narcissist, the parental narcissist. And there might be a time on this channel where I do that. However, right now we're not going to do that. We're just going to spend the next 3 videos talking about pathological lying. But when we're talking about narcissism, just keep in the back of your mind that there's a variety of kinds of narcissistic people. Okay, histrionic personality is a personality that's very like big and loud and attention getting and attention seeking and just out there and like, wow, it's so hard to explain. It's just like, this person takes it up a billion notches, right? On a scale from 1 to 10, that person is like 20. This kind of an individual has a really hard time controlling emotions, controlling thoughts, controlling perspectives. They're very passionate, fiery, feisty, right? I can talk a little bit about histrionic personality maybe in the next couple of videos, but you don't see a lot of this personality type, and this disorder is very rare and rarely diagnosed, I should say, but it is good to kind of keep it in mind. All right, the next one is borderline personality. We know what that is, right? We know there's a history of suicidal thoughts and attempts, self-injurious behaviors, cutting, burning, scratching, whatever. Impulsive behaviors, interpersonal challenges, right? Challenges with relationships, not being able to make them last or control emotions within them, very angry and fiery with emotions. Also, we have a dependency, a codependency in borderline personality. And last but not least would be the sociopath. And the sociopath is the antisocial personality, which is the individual who is very antisocial. They don't want to have anything to do with you. They are extraordinarily cruel, some of them, that would be a psychopath, right? Somebody who is murderous and calculating and manipulating, and just kind of seductive and sadistic. That's the best way to describe a psychopath. A sociopath is more of an individual who lacks empathy. They manipulate, they control for their own benefit. They don't care about you. They care about themselves, right? Their natural instinct is to pounce on you, right? Their natural instinct is to grab you and get something out of you for their own benefit and then discard you like dirt. That's the best way that I could describe a sociopath, okay? So when we're talking about these particular disorders, we can say that those are the umbrella terms, and pathological lying is right underneath that umbrella term. Okay, so the umbrella terms once again is narcissism, histrionic, borderline, and sociopath. And then right underneath the bottom of that would be the pathological liar. Okay. Now, in terms of children and adolescents, you might be wondering, well, do children and adolescents lie? Yes. However, they lie for various reasons. We all know that kids lie, right? Kids under the age of 10 lie for various reasons, to get out of doing things, to get out of responsibilities. It's part of their fantasy world, right? It's part of their natural child development. There are a variety of reasons, right? Sometimes it's even emulated. They've emulated an adult that they have had in their life, okay? But then when we're talking about adolescence, we're getting into a brand new area and scope of things. Now we have to take off the innocent child lens and look at this with a magnifying glass to figure out, okay, is this a developing narcissist, sociopath, borderline personality? What is this, right? So pathological lying for adolescents can fall under 2 main disorders. One is oppositional defiant disorder. If you have an individual or an adolescent who is engaging in oppositional behaviors, lying, cheating, arguing with you, being impulsive, not thinking before they act, manipulating things, controlling things, digging their heels in when there's rules and regulations, right? Refusing to listen, refusing to comply, refusing to respect adults, arguing, confrontation, bullying, all of those things are oppositional defiant disorder. If you don't treat those behaviors in enough time and they get worse, then you move over into the category of conduct disorder. And that's typically where we see fire setting, animal cruelty. We also continue to see oppositional behaviors, disrespect for authority and adults. We also see bullying, sometimes violent bullying. We also see mass murders and school violence and rape, sexual abuse. We see all of those things in individuals who are teenagers who have conduct disorder. Can pathological lying occur with both of these disorders, oppositional defiant disorder and conduct disorder? Absolutely yes. Okay, so when we're thinking in terms of adults, you want to keep in mind narcissism, borderline personality, histrionic personality, and a sociopath. For adolescents, you want to keep in mind oppositional defiant disorder and conduct disorder. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about ADHD? There are some kids with ADHD who do engage in lying, but it's typically to get out of things or to avoid responsibility in some fashion, right? There's never an evil intent. Rarely is there ever an evil intent with kids who have ADHD. All right. So now that we've gotten all that definition out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the signs of someone with pathological lying. I'm going to go through these things pretty quickly because there's a lot to cover and I don't want this video to be too long for you. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. The first pathological behavior that you're going to see in someone who's a pathological liar is seductiveness, okay? Individuals who have difficulty telling the truth or being responsible or having accountability, they might engage in lying behaviors to seduce you, right? It's so easy to seduce you when you're lying. All you have to do is say the right things. All you have to do is do the right things, and there you've got your prey, right? So seductiveness, it can be through a woman, it can be through a man. The whole idea is to weaken your defenses, bring you down, undermine you, and then control you. So pathological lying may include someone who is seductive. The next one is exaggerating details to distract you. Now, a pathological liar, when they set out to lie and to deceive you, what do they have to do? They have to win your good graces. They have to manipulate you. They have to seduce you sometimes. They have to get you over on their side. And once they do, so that you don't start asking questions or having second thoughts about things, they exaggerate, right? Because if they exaggerate, they know that it's going to overwhelm you and you're going to have very few questions. So that's the number one sign that I would look for in somebody who's a pathological liar. I think it's pretty clear that if a story is too exaggerated and it seems hard to be true, then you might want to look at that a second time and question, well, what's going on here? The next one is that the pathological liar typically manipulates you into playing different roles. And what I mean by this is pathological liars will manipulate you into certain roles that fit their agenda. So they might manipulate you into the helpless role. They might manipulate you into the wife or ex-girlfriend role. They might manipulate you into the mother role or the father role, right? Because they know if they do that, you're going to be weak, you're going to be emotional. You're not going to see what they're doing because you maybe want to meet their needs, or you maybe want to help them, or you're maybe used to playing in that role, right? So a pathological liar typically has a set of skills that they have used over time to kind of like lure in their prey and to pounce on their prey and to control and manipulate their prey, right? So you want to keep this in mind: seductiveness, distracting you with exaggerated details, and then manipulating you into certain roles that fits their agenda. Okay, the next one is that lying occurs for no reason at all. I'm going to lump these things in together. So lying may occur for no reason at all. It may be habitual and impulsive, and it is also repeated, chronic, frequent, and consistent, okay? So let me go back over that again. So a pathological liar will lie for no reason at all. It will be habitual, and it probably will be consistent or frequent or chronic, okay? That is typically a sign of a pathological liar. If you find that the liar's behaviors don't line up with someone who's telling the truth, and their lying is frequent, repetitive, or consistent, then you know that, okay, we got a problem here. You're not just telling me a little white lie. You're not just trying to manipulate yourself out of this. You're not just trying to get out of this, that, and that. You're actually a career pathological liar. Your lying, I should say, is habitual, consistent, and frequent. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, I should say. Oh, I'm having such a hard time today with like not saying the wrong things. I apologize. It's just been such a long day for me. So I apologize. The next thing that you want to focus on with a pathological liar is triangulation. What I mean by that is when someone is lying, they don't ever want to be found out, right? Because then they can't manipulate you. Then they can't get what they need, whatever that need is. So they triangulate. And what I mean by that is this. They tend to, and I'm going to put a little photo over here on the side to show you what triangulation is. It's basically the idea that you put in a triangle 3 different people who don't understand what's going on. So an example of that would be, let's say we have Carol and we have Benny. Okay, Carol and Benny. Benny is the husband to Carol. Carol talks to Benny all the time about all of her problems at work. She can't seem to concentrate. She can't seem to get a promotion. She feels like she's being let down by her boss. Colleagues don't like her. She's ready to quit. Okay. Benny says, I feel so sorry for you, honey. Is there anything that I can do to help you? How about we go out for dinner tonight? They go out for dinner. They have a long conversation. Everything seems great. Benny decides to surprise Carol at work. He gets there. Oh, let me make sure. I saw a sign and I want to make sure I have. Okay, we're good. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so Benny decides to visit Carol at the office and he realizes that, wait a minute, she's not here. So then Benny goes to her supervisor and says, have you seen Carol? And the supervisor says, oh, Carol no longer works here. She quit like a month ago. And then, okay, so who's in that triangle? You've got Benny in the triangle, you've got the supervisor, and then Carol. Okay, 3 people. So then the boss is going to Carol, like, what's going on here, Carol? I thought you told your husband that you quit. You haven't been here for 2 months. And then Benny goes to Carol and he's like, what's going on? And all of a sudden Carol's having an affair and she's planning on moving across the country. But now everybody is chaotic. Everybody's confused. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's angry, right? You've got her, the boss, and her husband in this triangle. And all it does is create more chaos. And if Carol wanted to make things even more chaotic, she would bring in her new lover into that triangle, and so there would be 4 people in this thing and nobody would ever have peace of mind. That is triangulation. A pathological liar knows how to do that very well. Why? It's distracting, it's undermining, it makes you helpless, it makes you confused, it gives them the upper hand, right? So keep that in mind. If you're dealing with somebody who triangulates and pulls various people in and lies and manipulates and cheats, you know that this is triangulation, this is a tactic. All right, so the next one is listening to respond. A pathological liar may listen to respond. They don't listen to figure things out. They don't listen to hear you. They don't listen to show empathy. They listen to respond. They want to respond. They want to manipulate. They want another opportunity to tell a lie. All right, the next one is using emotions to control you. It's so much easier to control you when you're emotionally invested, right? I thought you said you loved me. I thought you promised. I thought I could trust you. They might say things like, you know, I thought you were my best friend. What happened, right? All of those things are done to manipulate, to lie, to cheat, whatever they need to do. So what do? They use your emotions. They use maybe what you've said to them in the past. They might even use partial truth and partial lies to get everybody confused and emotionally, upset. So keep that in mind. Last but not least, they study you and they rehearse their lines. It's so much easier to lie when you're rehearsed, when you've practiced, when you've studied. And it's also so much easier to lie when you've studied a person. Kind of like a tiger and a cheetah and a lion studies their prey before they pounce, is the same way a pathological studies you before they pounce. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with me today in this video. I'm so sorry I was a little off this video. It's just been a very long day. I completely appreciate all of your support and your emails and your tweets and your text messages to me. You guys send me more stuff over my website and my blog than you do on here. I encourage you to come on here and just trigger a conversation. Bring your comments and your questions to the YouTube channel. I also appreciate you guys on my website and my blog as well. Thank you for keeping the conversation going. Stay tuned, guys, because we're going to be talking about pathological lying in the next 2 videos, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to deal with people who are like this. But in the meantime, I wish you well, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye-bye, guys. Have a great week. Bye.